Hey everybody, Dominic here. And recently we've had a number of faculty reach out to us asking about some best practices for conducting student virtual office hours. And we wanted to take some time to talk about those best practices and also make sure that you're informed about how to use different video platforms in order to conduct those student hours. One thing I'll just point out right off the bat is I like to refer to them as student hours. That's something that one of our keynote speakers brought up in a past in-service. It just makes it sound like that students can actually come and bother you, whereas office hours almost makes it sound like I'm working in my office, so don't bother me unless you have a good reason. It's just a more student-friendly way to say that. But in this video, I'm going to talk over some best practices for conducting virtual student hours. Again, we're talking about virtual student hours. So the idea here is that, of course, we want to have student hours for face-to-face students who are physically on campus. But for those students who can't make it to campus, or those students who are completely online and they have no intention of coming to campus, we want to still give them the opportunity to connect and to be able to ask their instructor questions and get support when they need it. So that's what we're really trying to tackle here, is giving students that opportunity. Of course, they can just call you on the phone or send you an email, but with a video conference, it makes it all the more of a stronger connection between the two of you. So that's what we're going to talk about here. So my first best practice with regards to virtual student hours is be very explicit with your students on when you are available for them to connect with you. Generally what you're going to do is you're going to hold these hours at the same time that you would hold your physical office hours. You'll have your video conference up and available for students to connect in, but you want to make sure that they know that's an option that's available to them. And you want to be persistent with that message. And so what I mean is, you don't just want to say in week one, oh, hey, I've got virtual student hours if you want to connect with me, and then not say anything about that for the rest of the semester. What I would do is in your weekly check-in videos, which you should be doing, we want to, in addition to providing feedback, giving overviews, prepping students for the week ahead, remind them. Just say like, as always, guys, I'm available for virtual student hours at these times, so feel free to connect with me if you got questions. That's a great reminder to add to your weekly check-ins, so just keep that in mind. Number two, put a shareable link to the video conference on your course homepage. We want to make this as convenient as possible for our students so that they can just click a button and then they're in. And they're chatting with you. We want to make that a super seamless experience. So basically what that means is getting a shareable link to your video conference, and you'll learn how to do that in our next two videos depending on which platform you're using. But get that shareable link and put that shareable link on your course homepage. Or you can put it other places too, but you have to put it in a place that students are easily able to access. So that's number two. Number three, provide clear and consistent hours and try to vary the times of day for your student hours. So from week to week, hopefully you have a little bit of a rhythm of when you're available for student hours. You don't want it to vary drastically from week to week, because then students are going to have a hard time knowing about when they can connect with you. And if we can vary the time of day, so that, let's just say on Tuesdays you're available from 9 to 11 a.m. and then on Fridays you're available from 3 to 4 p.m. That just opens up some windows for those students who maybe they always work in the afternoons. Well, if you only have hours available in the afternoons, well, now they can never connect with you. So if possible, obviously we have to work within the constraints of our normal schedules, but if it's possible, try to give a few different options for students to connect with you. Number four, have a plan for if multiple students connect into your virtual conference at the same time. This can happen if you get very popular with your virtual student hours, that two students just happen to connect at the same time. If that happens, you can really quickly just ask like, well, what questions do you guys have? Maybe I can work with one of you if it's a quick question, and then the other can come back once I'm done. If you have a pretty good idea of how much time it's going to take, you can just tell them, hey, just come back in 10 minutes and I'll help you out. If you're a little unsure about how much time it's going to take, maybe just tell them, keep an eye on your email. I will send you an email as soon as I finish with this student here. But doing that just kind of gives students a heads up and allows you to, work with them one at a time, really just like you would if you had multiple students come to your physical office hours. Just let them know to come back in a few minutes and you can help them out. Number 5, make sure you can see when your students join your video conference. Regardless of which platform you use, there should always be some kind of an audio sound that plays when someone is trying to connect to your video conference. But those sounds can be easy to miss, especially if you have your volume kind of low. So my advice is if you have 2 monitors, if you can put the video conference on one of them, that's great. Not everyone has 2 monitors, and if you do have 2, you might be using both of them. So I would say just make sure that you are periodically checking in on that video conference. It's always preferable if we can have it somewhere on the screen so we can see it. And of course, make sure you have your sound turned up so you can hear that audio file if someone joins. But, just make sure that you have a way of knowing when someone joins. We don't want to have someone join in and trying to ask you questions and you're just not even aware that they're in there. And actually, I'll add an extra tip in there, which is if you have to get up from your desk and go use the restroom, go do whatever, you could keep the video conference going, but just put a little paper up in front of the camera that says back in 5 minutes. What that does is it lets the student know, like, oh, I can hang out and wait for my teacher to come back. If you just disconnect the conference, the student's going to go in to connect and think, oh, it's not online. I guess they're not available, and they probably won't try to come back. So, having that piece of paper and finding a way to just position that right in front of your camera that says back in 5 minutes, I think that's a good way to let them know, stick around, I'll be back. So those are just a few of the best practices we recommend with virtual student hours. If you have questions about how to do any of these things, of course, reach out to one of us in the CPD department. We'd be happy to help you out. And in our next 2 videos, we're going to talk about how you can leverage either Google Meet to do just a quick link that students can get to and jump in, or if you prefer the Office 365 environment, how you can use Microsoft Teams for a more robust tool set that includes the virtual student hours. So make sure you check out those videos, and thank you very much for watching.